Quest for Vape. Today I'm going to be doing a review and close-up look at the Avocado 24mm by Geekvape, the Avocado 24mm RDTA. It's a rebuildable drip atomizer top with a tank below, so we could call it an RTA, but it's a little bit different than the typical RTA. I can drip right down on the coils. I have direct airflow on the coils, and my tank is down underneath, and my wicks drop down Genesis style into that tank below. But I have on occasion when my tank ran dry, dripped right on the coil, right down the chuff. So in some ways it reminds me of an RDA. I'm going to show you a build on this. I'm going to show you how I like to wick it. I sat down to do this video several times, but as I get to know this Avocado 24 better and better, I needed to redo my video because my esteem of this product has been increasing as I vape it over time.
There's rarely been a product that I had to sit down so many times and record parts of videos. Every time I think I'm done with this sucker, I'm not. It's got me very intrigued, very perplexed. Like I want to figure out the best way to vape with this.
So let's talk about this, and then we'll get into the close-ups. You don't have to be an expert to use this. It's very easy to build on. It's got a nice big build deck, which I'll show you in a few minutes. It says it's a 5 milliliter capacity tank, but I don't see how. I don't have a syringe to take the fluid out and measure it, but I do go through juice pretty quickly in this tank. That's probably because I have, now check this out. Yeah, you could take the top cap off. I did build it with dual coils, and it's got a frosted glass and a clear glass sleeve. This is, they say, what do they say? Silica glass tube. I have the frosted one on here. But anyway, you could take the top cap right off, see what's going on with your coils. The flavor on this is awesome, and the vapor production on this is awesome. And I'm getting a really enjoyable vape. It's really not as difficult as I thought it was going to be, and the more I use it, the more comfortable I get with it, the more and more I'm liking it. So let's dive down close. Take a close-up look at this, the parts that come in the box, the tank broken down, how to take it apart, how to reassemble it. And then I'm going to do a quick build using Clapton pre-made coils and wicking on this device, this tank, this RDTA. I will say this, you're better off using spaced coils than contact coils. It just seems to wick better that way. You're better off using less cotton than more. The flavor's better. I had to re-wick this a few times. The flavor was muted because I was using too much cotton. And if that's the experience you're having on this, then you probably pack the cotton too tightly into those juice wicking holes, and it's choking the juice, restricting the flavor. So let's go take a close-up look.
Close-up of the Avocado 24 from Geekvape. This is the box it comes in, the packaging. Just the diagram and some quick specs here. 5 milliliter capacity, blah, 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 easy to fill. That's it. No user manual. This right here, this is your user manual. It's got those same like hardened screws. And this is what comes in the kit. You can pause here, read that if you like. Scratch and check, authenticity, Geekvape. Okay, let's look at this perplexing and unusual but enjoyable vaping tank. Jenny, RDTA, I don't know what it is. Okay, so this is what comes in the box. Here is our very nice tank in black, 510, which we're going to remove in a minute. Designed and manufactured by Geekvape. Some serial number. Okay, there we go. Got airflow, adjusts over here. You don't turn this ring, you turn this top cap here. That's it. We got wide open. Closed. One hole. You get two holes. And then the slot. Here's the tank below. Here's the build deck. Here's the build deck. That's the inside of the top cap. Here's your build deck. I'm going to remove this. This ceramic block here is to go single coil mode. You've got nice big post holes over here. Hex screws. And also included in the box was this tool, so you can get at those hex screws with a little bit of leverage. I'm going to remove this block. And then we got a nice two-post velocity style build deck. This right here, this swivel, you swing that out and that's how you fill. This is the solution to the filling problem that the Avocado 22 millimeter had. You had to try and fill your juice through these holes where the wicks also went, because you're going to wick your coils. Coils are going to, however you want to form them, and then you're going to tuck down into these holes for single coil or dual coil mode. And the old way, you had to shove the cotton aside and get your juice down in there somehow, or pull a wick out, put juice in this little tank, and then put it back. So that's a solution. I imagine you could also pull the top cap off and drip this, or if you want to just go dripper style and nothing's stopping you from dripping right down on your cotton through the chuff. So I think I'm going to call this an RDTA. All right. What else is interesting? Let me pull this apart. So that's how you get to the build deck. By the way, this drip tip comes off. In this spare parts baggie, you also have a threaded adapter, so you can use any 510 style size drip tip. It even comes with this 510 size drip tip if you don't want this big chuff. I like using chuffs though. I like a wider drip tip opening. And it also comes with a spare glass. That's it. That's nothing else comes in this box. You get an extra one of these ceramic pieces in case you break your original one. You get an extra drip tip, an adapter, and a tool, and some extra grub screws, bunch of O-rings. I kind of like the clear O-rings. I'll show you in a minute. So now let's go take this apart. Just in case you want to take this apart. There's no need to really, unless you want to get in there and clean it. I just showed you how to fill it. They go all from the top. There's no need to do this. I ended up doing this part live on my coil building workshop, and they backed off. I said this thing needs a little bit more time playing around, and it was, by the way, brand new. It was a bitch to get this top cap off. I had to soak this in hot water for a couple of minutes, and then I had to use one of these cloths that you use to like open jars. So you take that pin out. Then there's a pin within the pin. You take this pin out. I guess they intended that so that if one part breaks, you can replace it. But this is your contact with the 510 connection on your mod. And this is the main screw that holds the tank together. So we're going to loosen this up. There it goes. Just comes right out. Fairly long. Brass or brass colored stainless steel, I don't know. And then this part just unscrews. So here we have, yeah. Okay, now you can see the underneath of where juice flows into this tank chamber below. You can call this Jenny style if you want. All right, so that's that. One thing I'll point out, there's a Delrin insulator in here. This little guy, don't lose that, you don't have a spare. Goes into there. Glass tank goes back on. This tank base screws back on. Then you screw this in. And then this 510. It's a lot of work to have to get in there and clean it out, but the good news is you can get in there and clean it out, which is important. Okay, I want to point something out. I don't know why anybody would, but if you're thinking about using this on a mechanical mod, don't. Don't even think about using it on a hybrid mech mod. This 510 pin barely protrudes. That's not enough to give me a comfort. And you're not supposed to use tanks on mech mods or hybrid mech mods anyway. Not safe, that's why. Okay, so let's go ahead, get this built.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Vaping on this, and probably about 5 or 6 tanks of juice. Here's what the wick looks like. By the way, that's how long your wicks have to be. They don't have to be thick, but they have to be pretty long. So I wanted to show that to you. Look how long that wick is. Damn thing. Yeah, it was very wispy, and there's not much to it at all. But it worked. It wicked very, very well. I got this up to 140 watts on this wick. So this is after 2 days. That's normal. In fact, I've had RDAs that I've vaped on for 2 hours looked worse than that.
The flavor's delicious. "65 watts, pretty good. As far as the vape goes, it's a pretty good vape. I feel like it's wicking just fine. I know one thing, that cotton is loose enough the way I wicked it, and nothing's being choked. I have no cause for concern. This is wicking just fine. Whatever's going on in there, it's loose enough, it's not choked. It's able to pull that juice when it needs it. In between each hit, it's re-wicking. I'm starting to feel a rhythm of how much I need to let it, how long I need to let it sit to re-wick. I don't think you should chain vape this. Meaning, don't go back to back to back hits. Boom, 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 boom. It's you could see it's a little dry. And a little dry to me means flavor not as good as it could be. I feel like I still have too much cotton. I'm going to give this thing a trim. I'm going to give it a trim. It's too much fucking cotton. Show you what I did on one. I took off that much cotton on this one here. This is the one I trimmed. It had a little Don King bush, needed to go. This one's got too much cotton. I can't exactly explain to you how much or how little. You're going to have to get a feel for that yourself. Yeah, okay. See, this one here I feel has too much cotton. Just a little too much. A little off the top, a little off the side. Not much. That's it. That's all I took off. And I'm plucking at these a little, make sure that they're loose in that hole. It's designed to give you RDA dripper flavor, which I'm not getting, with the convenience of a tank so you don't have to keep re-dripping. That's what it's meant to give you. All right. I don't know if that's noticeable, but that's how I just gave it a after build, after wicking. Now I'm vaping on it. Little tweak. Let's see if that made a difference in the flavor. Actually, it does deliver more flavor. Actually, that's pretty fucking good. Oh, yeah. My hits are a little faster now. It is wicking. I'm getting a little bolder and going a little longer. That's at 60 watts. Pretty intense. That Pancake Man is tasting really good in this tank right now. Very nice. One more long hit and then I'm going to go up and watch. That was a fairly lengthy hit. You can see it dried out that cotton pretty damn good. Let's help it wick. The heat of the coils is what's going to wick this thing. But I gotta say, it's keeping up. I'm paying really close attention, especially on those longer draws. As I get longer and longer, I'm paying close attention to the flavor as I'm vaping it to see, is this thing drying out? Am I about to get a dry hit? So far, no. 70 watts on the Avocado 24. It kept up with wicking. Here's 80 watts. Let's see if that high heat through those coils pulls that juice faster and just slams that flavor in there. About the same. It's keeping up with that wicking though, I'll tell you. I got no complaints with this product right now. None. Flavor's even better at 85 and it's keeping up. Notice I'm not taking a 5-second pull. But longer than 2 seconds, maybe 3. That's pretty intense. The tank itself is starting to heat up. That's a nice velvety vape. It's a little warm right now. 85 watts. Go to 90. I want to see how high I can comfortably vape this and feel like I'm getting a satisfying vape. That's nice. 90 watts. A lot of nicotine right now. That's what I'll say. I'm almost done on this tank. Starting to get a little nick dizzy. 100 watts right there. I still have juice in the tank. Not much. The wicks are nice and saturated. I think I'll get 2 or 3 good hits if I can hit it at 100. It's wicking fine. And now it's ready to be filled again. Unbelievable. Yeah. I got a little bit of juice left. That's 100 watts right there. I don't feel the need to go any higher than that. 100 watts is enough. It's very flavorful. I'm not going to go crazy with form factor here on a bunch of different mods, but I'll just show you. It fits perfectly flush on the Innokin Coolfire 4 TC100. Looks very nice on the IPv5. It's flush on the sides, and the IPv5 has a little, you know, the 510 is in a little bit for 25 millimeter, etc. That's nice form factor. It doesn't overhang at all. That looks really nice on there, actually. This actually looks pretty good, especially if you have the Quest for Vape sticker on your RX200. That's a nice form factor. I could live with that. That's a nice form factor on the rouleau. It doesn't look too skinny on there. It doesn't look too tall on there. IPv4S. That looks really good. Look at that. Okay, we're back up top. I hope you enjoyed that close-up look at this Avocado 24mm from Geekvape and the build and the wicking tutorial. Now I want to show you, I'm going to vape on this at 120 watts. I didn't start out at 120, I started at 50, and I worked my way up higher in the wattage range just to see how this thing vapes over time, how it wicks over time. Let me take a vape and then I'll tell you about my process, breaking in the cotton, breaking in the coils. I'm not taking 5-second hits, but it'll do 120 like a champ, and it feels like it even could go higher, but that's all I need for right now. That's all I'm going to do in this video. I'm not going to do something silly like stick this on my rouleau. Maybe I am. All right, time for intense vaping session. By the way, that's the IPv5. Very nice mod. This sits perfectly flush on there. Let me go ahead and really pull the regulator off of this thing and see what it's capable of. You know, the airflow keeps up with the wicking. The wicking keeps up with the wattage, at least up to 120 it does. So I found that my cotton, when it was brand new, was a little bit choked and muted on the flavor. I went back in, tweaked it, gave it a little bit of a haircut, nudged those wicks a little bit. They're very long. They extend down almost to the bottom of this tank. One or two of them actually, I think, curled around a little bit, but very thin wicks. But it's wicking just fine. And I haven't had a dry hit on this thing yet. I am, however, being very careful because I don't want a dry hit. So I'm vaping sensitively. As I increase in wattage, I'm also being mindful of how is this vaping, how moist is the vapor, and how's the flavor. That'll tell me when I'm about to dry hit. That's 130 watts. Wait for this fog to clear. That's 130. Another interesting, unique thing about this, if you want to take a look at what's going on with your coils, you can take that top cap off and have a peek. If you want to drip directly on these coils, you can, RDA style, dripper style, or just go ahead and let it wick up from the bottom. So the question is, am I cheating by dripping on the coils and getting some higher wattage than this thing can handle? Well, I didn't drip on the coils all the way up to 120 watts. I just did that to show you right now. If you want more power out of it, treat it like a dripper. Treat it like a really badass dripper with a backup reserve reservoir down below. So that's cool. Let's say I'm driving and sometimes I'm stopped at a light. I can drip in there. And sometimes I'm driving and I can't stop and drip and take my hands off the wheel. Then I got the tank below. Do you always need to vape at 130 watts? Nope. You can get a great vape off of this at 70 watts. Which is probably where I'll end up vaping this, around 70, 80 watts. But at 140, I'm going to do a few hits so you know that this wasn't just me dripping on the coils cheating. Okay, at 140 watts, with the little amount of juice that's left on here, if I don't re-drip, there's only one place for the juice to come from, and that's from down below. Don't chain hit this at 140 and then blame the tank. Maybe give it a few seconds to re-wick. That juice does have to travel up, you know. Fucking did it. It did it again. Again, you can tell those wicks are looking kind of... They're not moist. They're not saturated. They're a little on the dry side. That's a lot of power going through those coils right now. I'm going to do it one more time at 150. I'm not going to try the 200. I don't think it can handle the 200. Not on the build and the wicking that I have right now. And it's a little much to ask from this great atomizer. A quick sip. And a few seconds in between for that juice to climb back up those wicks. And defy gravity. All right, the flavor's muting out a little bit now. It's not bad, though. Let's go back down to a modest 100 watts. Here we are, back down to 100 watts. It handles 100 watts, no problem. Very nice, flavorful, delicious vaping atomizer. Okay, so what do we have here? We have a new innovation with the top cap that comes off. You know, originally I was going to compare this with the Wismec Theorem from Jabo and Matt from Suck My Mod, but it's really not in the same category at all. Other than the fact that your wicks hang down into a reservoir below, that's where the similarities end. This is a much higher capability, much higher potential atomizer. And the vape I get on this is very, very similar to the vape I get on the Steam Crave Aromomizer Supreme. Great flavor, great vapor production, can handle a lot of power, gives you that nice warm to hot vape that you want. If that's the way you like to vape, with options. I love the fact that you could just drip straight down that chuff. This top cap kind of reminds me of a Kennedy, just the shape and the form factor of it. Nicely done. You got that improved juice filling over the 22 millimeter, which was difficult to use. You got a great vape. You got a great product here. Well worth it. I think these retail for about 40 bucks. If you're thinking about picking one of these up and you like to tinker and you like to play around with rebuildables, this one is going to be a fun one to own. Thank you very much for watching my channel. Thank you for watching this video. Please give it a like down below. And if you're not subscribed to my channel yet, what are you waiting for? Please subscribe.